Bring it home, David.
When you're ready. Thank you, President. I rise to make a brief contribution to the motion before the House, and I thank Dr Mansfield for bringing this question before us. In addressing this motion, I'm reminded of an anecdote about a former Victorian Labor Premier, the late John Cain, and I'm told that he kept a jar of stamps in his office, that he used these stamps for his personal correspondence rather than using taxpayer-funded stamps. This, of course, harks back to a time when the merest hint of ministerial impropriety could threaten to bring down a government, where the disclosure of a minister receiving gifts could lead to their resignation and political exile. I'm sure those of us who are a little more senior would recall the Paddington Bear affair or the colour TV imports that cost ministers their jobs. But that degree of personal and political rectitude seems very quaint today, certainly in this Parliament, where ministers routinely shrug off questions of transparency and integrity. And as Dr Mansfield explained, this was exemplified, I'm afraid, yesterday by the Minister for Casino, Gaming and Liquor Regulation in your nonchalant response yesterday to a question posed by Ms Copsey, and that this acceptance of hospitality from the very sector you're charged with regulating could be reasonably perceived, as a conflict of interest. Now, Mr Batchelor conflating gambling with gamblers, with gambling companies, is mind-boggling, and no doubt, and now that the government apparently has a newfound compassion for problem gamblers, I am sure we're all dizzy with anticipation, waiting for this government to introduce some legislation with some guts on gambling that would address that question. But let's not let consistency stand in the way of a good, cheap shot, Mr Batchelor. But that sort of brush-off is a piece. It's become part of the culture of secrecy and the culture of non-disclosure that characterises this government. Week after week, we witness the government's refusal to release documents that have been ordered by this council. How utterly pathetic to receive a letter from the Attorney-General that the government hasn't had time to release a single document ordered by this House. It is nothing short of contempt for this chamber. It is contempt for the Victorian Parliament. It's a contempt for democracy, and ipso facto, it is a contempt for the people of Victoria. The Ministerial Code of Conduct states that each minister shall provide a diary summary within 10 days of the end of each quarter. We are now approaching 2 months since the end of the June quarter, and where are the diaries? Where are the diaries? What is so secret? Or has PPO had no time to release the diaries because they've been too busy refusing to release the documents ordered by this chamber? Well, we know what was in the last lot of diaries, don't we? As The Age reported, Danny Pearson duchessing a dozen data centre executives at the Australian Open, followed by a private industry dinner at Government House. And a few weeks later, a gift to the ALP of $4,300 from data developer NextDC. I mean, seriously, whether it's corrupt or not, it's perception. It is the perception of corruption that you need to remove from your culture. Now, the value of that donation is as of nothing compared to the value of having a data centre approved at Fisherman's Bend in only 75 days. A community can't get a pocket park approved in 75 days from this government. It is nothing compared to the government's stoic resistance to releasing any meaningful information on how those plans are approved. And it's nothing compared to having the then Premier, Jacinta Allen, Danny Pearson and Harriet Shing out there singing the praises of that project before it's even been approved. And it is nothing.
Sorry, Mr. Ettershank. Mr. Batchel on the point of order.
In his wide-ranging contribution, appears to be straying quite away from particular interests that have been alleged in the motion, going on to all sorts of other policy matters. I think he should be put back to the motion.
I'll just urge Mr. Ettershank to stick to the motion. Thank you.
President, I appreciate that. Perceptions matter. Perceptions matter, and there is a very clear perception in the community that this government has been captured by vested interests. Exactly this question of gifts. But that sort of brush off is a piece with this government's culture of non-disclosure. Pardon me. Whether it's data centres, waste to energy incineration, property development, the fiasco of public housing towers or the suburban rail link, or gifts to ministers, this government keeps on saying there is nothing to see here, and then refuses every reasonable request to disclose information. For those who want to see, there is rejection. And that is utterly suspect. Perceptions matter, and having one minister being both our first law officer as well as our planning minister is glaring. Watching this government year after year reject any expansion of IBAC powers, I think we all would, is glaring. We all welcome Premier Carroll's commitment to addressing this issue, and I'm sure we are keen to see the issues. But again, these all strike to the culture of corruption. Maybe this government is not wrong in thinking that the public just accept these weaker standards of integrity these days, that they can just ride out these incidents, these minor corruptions. And if people are cynical and have lost faith in government, oh well, what are they going to do about it? This is the status quo. The circus will move on. Now, Mr. Mulholland, seriously, I mean, you had the opportunity, you had the opportunity to seize the moral high ground, and yet you took an opportunity just to bash the Greens. You've become an apologist for the government. I mean, it's remarkable. Do you not get that people are looking at exactly those gifts, disclosed or not, and they see politicians that are compromised? You, sir, have abandoned the moral high ground and taken a delightfully precise deep dive into a pit of sewerage. It is so disappointing, so disappointing. But people have a right to know, yeah? People have a right to know our representatives are actually working for them. We all need to be assured that our leaders are working in the interests of Victorians and that they cannot be bought. They cannot be influenced with trinkets, with gifts, with entertainment. Seriously. And that needs to be demonstrated through tougher action on conflicts of interest and breaches of the Ministerial Code of Conduct. And at the heart of this matter, that's exactly what we're talking about. You've set a standard and then you've turned your back on it. LCV wholeheartedly supports the motion moved by Dr Mansfield and commends it to the House.